RMJ movie reviews back again, and now I'm coming with my second Black History Month movie review, and this is a movie that is pretty popular among audiences, kind of a cult kind of movie called Into Deep, starring Omar Epps from Juice and former rapper and now TV star LL Cool J, also known as James Todd Smith. Into Deep, basically, this is a crime drama movie about an undercover cop that gets into deep. This film was released in 1999. Matter of fact, this film came out the summer before I went into my senior year. I was 17 years old. I always talk about films that I remember from certain times of my life. So another reason I remember this film was this was around the time that I think I had got my first real girlfriend in high school. And I remember we were talking on the phone that night about me and my best friend were going to go to the movies. She didn't want to go out that night, so me and the boys, we went out. We went to go see this film, Into Deep. I've always liked Into Deep. I've always been a fan of it. This is kind of a smaller version. I'd call it a smaller version of Deep Cover, starring Lawrence Fishburne. Obviously it's not as good a film as Deep Cover, but then again, this movie is kind of trying to be its own thing. It's not trying to be exactly like Deep Cover. Deep Cover was kind of more very heavily melodramatic and very kind of poetic, poetic theater kind of stuff within that film, and noirish, Into Deep doesn't really go for that. Into Deep kind of is more kind of a shorter, abbreviated version of Deep Cover. But the film basically tells the story of an undercover cop who goes undercover in Cincinnati to take down a guy who's a big kingpin crack dealer in Cincinnati, which is LL Cool J. He goes by the nickname God. I think his name is Dwayne Gettins. Dwayne God Gettins. And if there's any indication that he has an ego problem because he calls himself God, LL Cool J plays a very despicable character in this film. Very despicable. And LL does a really good job in this movie. He's, maybe there's a couple of his lines here and there that are kind of like, I think there's one scene where he's kind of interrogating Omar Epps in his office, him and his boys, and one of his lines I didn't really like the way he read it, but I mean that's just me nitpicking. But LL is very sinister, he's very brutal, he really takes advantage of his physicality in this movie. I mean he's very much a bully, he's despicable. Omar Epps, who I've always liked as an actor, sometimes Omar Epps can kind of play it sometimes he won't go too far with his emotional range, but I think in this film, I think he does some solid work here. Very good job. This goes by the typical tropes of once you start playing this street personality, you kind of lose track of your own identity. Which I could imagine that if you were really in an undercover situation in real life, I'd imagine. You probably would lose it at some point because it's got to be terrifying. I mean, your heart rate has got to be like nuts. I mean, because your life is constantly in danger all the time. You don't know if these guys are going to know if you're really a cop or not, and they're not going to tell you. They'll just shoot you in the back of the head or cut you up or brutalize you or whatever. But Omar Epps does solid work here. He plays it very well with the scenes where he kind of is himself, playing the cop who he has to report to his boss, played by a very relaxed and underplayed Stanley Tucci here. Who Stanley Tucci is a magnificent actor too. He does really. I really like Stanley Tucci in this role. Him and Omar Epps have a very good kind of chemistry. They bounce off each other because I love how controlled Stanley Tucci is in this way. He's very controlled, while Omar Epps kind of gets a little bit arrogant. His character gets a little bit arrogant, like he feels like he's got it under control. He feels like he's got the situation. And Stanley Tucci just kind of lets him know, like, you need to chill, you need to chill. But he's also observing him too, and he's kind of a little bit working him, but he's also very empathetic to his situation too. So very good work between those two there. David Patrick Kelly, Sully from Commando and Warriors. He pops up in here. He's like, I think he's the head of the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency here. He's really good in this movie. It was nice to see him kind of play a role. It's fun to see him play the scumbag, dirtbag guy, but it was nice to see him not play that role here. He's very good. Pam Grier kind of pops up for a paycheck role, but she's good in it. She's very relaxed, and I really like a scene at the end where Omar Epps kind of, he loses it. He gets caught up in the moment, and he thinks he's going against the cops, and she's like, what are you doing? Omar Epps in that scene, I kind of wish they would have kind of went a little bit further with it, but probably time constraints or whatever. But I love Pam Grier's reaction to him because they're getting ready to say, look, let's take him down. This guy's lost it, and Pam Grier goes, wait, and it's a sweetness she has in that when she kind of looks, she goes, wait, like she could get him, and she kind of pulls that womanly, motherly instinct, and she gets him. But very, very good scene. I cannot remember the name of the actor, but he was in Blood In, Blood Out. He played one of the actors, and he was in that horrible movie Fled with Lawrence Fishburne and Stephen Baldwin. He played like one of the hitman characters. I cannot forget his name. Hispanic character actor. I forget his name, but he's really good in this movie too. That guy, he's done a bunch of stuff. Very good actor. Couple of actors from Oz, couple of actors who made appearances in Brooklyn's Finest, and a whole bunch of other cop movies appear here. And I can't remember the one guy who was, what's his name? The guy who was in Casualties of War, who played actually the guy who literally stabbed the Vietnamese girl. He plays a psycho like in every movie. I haven't seen that guy in a while, but he pops up here too. But In Too Deep, I forgot Nia Long is in it too. She plays the love interest, and those scenes with them together is really good. She's just kind of a token love interest, but again, solid work from Nia Long. Very sympathetic. The scene that I like is where his street personality kind of sinks into his personal life, and he kind of gets rough with his girlfriend, and it just kind of shows that this is kind of seeping into other parts of his life. So those scenes are very well played. The scene I like is, of course, a famous scene amongst people who really remember this movie very well. Of course, is the one where an actor who was on Oz a little bit back in the day. He's a brother who had the corn. I don't think he has cornrows anymore. I don't think he has braids anymore, but he had braids back then, and his eyes kind of a little bit lazy. I forget the guy's name. Actually, a friend of mine is friends with that guy on Facebook because she's an actress. But she knows that guy. But he's the guy who got laid out on the pool table. But everybody remembers that scene where LL takes the pool stick and, shoves up the guy's backside, which is, if there's any indication that LL Cool J's character is ruthless, I mean, that's got to be one of the most awful things you could ever think of. Another really good scene is where Omar Epps and LL Cool J basically brutalize these two crack fiends. And they do it in front of LL's kid. They're like, slamming the guy's arm in the door and beating his face on the windshield, and the baby's in the backseat watches. LL shoves the gun down the crack chick's throat, and kind of does a Killer Joe kind of routine on her. And it's very awful, and it just shows, this is a tough job to say the least. If there's any kind of complaint I might have about In Too Deep is, it's very typical. It doesn't do anything different with it. Really, it's just the fact that I think LL is very good in this role. He's, like I said, he's very brute and he's very sinister. And all the actors play their role. And it kind of ends very anticlimactically. Like, it kind of ends so quick, I didn't expect it to end that fast. And I was kind of like, God, it's over already? But aside from kind of typical cliches and it being a standard cop movie, I think it's really just the performance, and also the performances And also, it's very 90s. It's such a 90s kind of movie. And especially amongst a lot of black films in the 90s. You know, there's a lot of songs in the movie of the day. So you hear kind of a lot of late 90s, late 90s R&B. Matter of fact, anybody who might be watching this review to this video, I don't know if any of you remember the artist named Domino. The rapper from like, he was, I think 1992 or 90, I think it was 1993, but remember he made that song, The Ghetto Jam. The Ghetto Jam is about to slam, and that song pops up. And I remember when I heard it, I forgot about that dude. And he also made another song that was my favorite when I was 12 called Sweet Potato Pie. He goes, I'm that guy, you're so fly, gotta get a piece of that sweet potato pie. Which is, I mean, any 12-year-old boy will remember that song, right? But, In Too Deep, fantastic work from Omar Epps. LL Cool J is just great in his role. Stanley Tucci, always capable. It's a solid, typical crime movie, but it's fun to watch, and you know, there's enough, you know, ghoulish little surprises in there to keep you interested. So that's my review of In Too Deep. Anybody who remembers In Too Deep or who's a fan of it, thumbs up my video, subscribe to my channel, leave some comments down below, and maybe put in some things about that I mentioned about the soundtrack, the performances, LL Cool J, anything I might have left out. I decided my next movie review for Black History Month is actually going to be the 1984 classic Purple Rain, starring the man himself, Prince. RMJ Movie Reviews. Don't forget to share all my videos with movie buffs. Anybody who just loves movies. Share my videos. Pass them along. Come with me. I'll see you soon.